Hey, I'm going to show you how I record vocals. First off, if you're not in a professional or semi-professional studio and you're recording at home, please invest in yourself and purchase a decent microphone and interface. If you can record in a closet or a space with minimal noise and reflections, that'll be for the best. I plan on making a video soon on what stuff to buy for a decent home recording setup, but yeah, stay tuned for that. Anyways, first we're going to make a bunch of audio tracks. I'm going to make one aux track. Cool. Next, we're going to send all these audio tracks to the aux. So make sure all the inputs and outputs are straight. Also, we're going to rename this just so it's easier to see. For a quick recording vocal bus just to get started, the artist wants to get in the booth, they want to go. Here's just something quick that I do. Roll off about here, add a compressor. Definitely put the gate up just in case if there's some noise. You don't want this to be too loud, just to give it some vibe. And then just a little bit of reverb. This is just so the artist can hear themselves with a little bit of effect when they're recording. For this track here, I'm going to call this record track. So we're basically just going to be recording to this main track here, and we're going to bring all the audio that we record here down onto the empty tracks. And then we'll rename stuff, label everything, and color code properly. Okay, first things first. We want to get a good main lead vocal. And what you want to do is you want to record a bunch of lead takes. You want to record as much takes as possible until you feel that there's enough good parts to comp from. And comping meaning taking a piece of this take and a piece of that take and then putting them all together. Okay, so we have our first take right here. Now let's bring that down, and then you're going to record another take. Let's do one more. Okay, now it's time to comp the lead vocal. So these are the takes that I like the best. Now what I'm going to do is put them all on the same track. Retitle this lead box. I always like to get a great lead before I move on to any of the other layers. Some takes might be perfect performance-wise, but timing-wise, maybe they're too early or too late. See like this one right here. You could see that it's not in time, so maybe we could nudge it slightly. And I always make sure that I have the polyphonic time stretching mode on in case I need to time stretch something. Like this, for instance. You know? Just got to make sure everything's in pocket. There we go. I got all the lead vocals on one track. There shouldn't be a whole bunch of tracks all over the session. You have to have some kind of organization. Maybe there's a lead vocal that overlaps a little bit. So, okay, so maybe 2 lead vocal tracks at the most, but there shouldn't be any more than that. Okay, next. This is what I call the ins and outs or ending words. These accentuate the rhyming words or ending lines in the bar. I'll usually record 2 of these and then pan them left and right. 50-50, 100-100, something in between. Depending on how mono or how wide your instrumentation is, you may want to pan your vocals accordingly. If the main music is more towards the center, I'd want my ins and outs pan wide, and vice versa. The music is more wide, you want the vocals to be more towards the center. Okay, those are my 2 in and out tracks. Again, you want to make sure everything is aligned properly. Just nudge some things. Vocal line is essential. Also clean up any noise that's in between the takes. Just get rid of that stuff. And then you can just highlight everything and do some crossfades. I sometimes EQ the ins and outs different than the lead vocal, so they have their own space in the frequency spectrum. Next is ad-libs. Ad-libs sound best when there's an open space between words on your lead vocal. Try not to overlap too much, or at all. I'll usually put a telephone EQ, an auto panner, a touch of reverb, just so it sets it apart from the lead vocal. You want everything to have its own space. The lead, the ins and outs, and the ad-libs should not be conflicting. If this is a more melodic track and you want to record harmonies and octaves and all that, I will always record 2 of each harmony note or octave note and then EQ them, pan them slightly different. So really the process is the same for any other additional vocals you want to record, but the main thing is really just the strong lead, the ins and outs to accentuate the rhyming words, and then ad-libs. So as far as like basic levels, make sure that your lead is always going to be on top of all this other stuff. I'll even bring down the ins and outs -5 dB or sometimes even lower than that. you know, it depends on the track and how loud the instruments are. And there's really no perfect levels, but you just want to make sure that the ins and outs and the ad-libs aren't louder than the lead vocal. And as far as for like doubling, I don't really double my lead vocals that much anymore, unless I'm going for like a specific effect. But you know, if you do record doubles on your lead vocal, just like do your best to match the tone and the pitch, or else it's gonna sound like really bad. But you know, that of course that's where auto-tune and Melodyne and vocal line and all that comes into play. That's not really for like a recording session. You're not gonna want to do that while the artist is in the booth waiting for you to do all that. Cool. That's pretty much it. You just want to make sure you color code and label everything. And there you go. Simple. It's nothing special, but it's going to get you going pretty quick. They're not going to be waiting for you to set up and before you know it, the vibe is lost and all that. You know what I mean? This is something quick. Get it done. Do it. Get to recording. And then when recording, just know what you need to do. Have like a checklist. Okay, lead vocal, record a bunch of takes, comp them, done. Ins and outs, record a couple takes, pan them, done. Ad-libs, throw some EQ and some reverb and some auto panner. Easy. Anybody could do this, man.